Thank you, Congressman McDermott. Next, I invite to the podium Congressman Adam Smith from the 9th District, now serving his 8th term and is ranking member of the House Armed Services Committee. He is a strong advocate for our country's military personnel and their families, and a valued friend of the NVC. Congressman Smith.
Thank you. It is an incredible privilege to be here today as we honor the service of these men on this stage. You have heard the stories, and their valor, courage, and dedication to our country is worthy of the highest admiration. Frankly, almost unbelievable what they went through and how much they fought for our country, as General Corelli very aptly laid out. And almost regardless of the circumstances of how they got there, those stories alone would be worthy of us gathering today and thanking them and honoring them for their courage and service to our country. Then as you hear, as you have from General Corelli and Congressman McDermott, of what they went through in this country, of the discrimination the Japanese Americans faced after Pearl Harbor. It's just unimaginable when you read about that, to imagine going through that regardless of what you wound up doing, but then to willingly stand up and serve your country after that discrimination and fight so valiantly and courageously speaks obviously to what incredible people they are, but also speaks as well as anything I can imagine to what makes this country great, and at the same time speaks to the challenges we have to live up to those ideals. They stood up and fought for this country regardless of discrimination because they believed in the ideal of Americanism. And through their fight and through their effort, they actually pushed us to a direction to reduce discrimination and get a better idea of what people can contribute to our society. I was really struck when Bob Kiga talked about being a sensei, a third-generation Japanese American, and the debt that he owed to these men for their service to our country. And I was struck that I and everybody else in this country owes that very same debt. Regardless of our ethnic heritage, we owe that debt to these people as Americans. And I think that is what makes this country so great. We all came from someplace else, and we're all different in our own way. But in America, we strive to make sure that that doesn't make any difference, that we understand that we're Americans and we should not discriminate based on race, creed, color, religion, or anything, because that's what makes America America. But at the same time, we don't always meet that ideal. And it reminds us that we have to keep working. You know, I will admit that as an American, I feel a tiny touch of shame when I read about what happened during the Japanese internment. Obviously, I wasn't alive then, but as an American, I believe that we should be better than that. And I think it's also important to remember that not just is discrimination morally and ethically wrong and unjust, but I like to point out that it's also stupid, because you lose out on the ability of so many of your citizens. Imagine, if you will, if our discrimination against Japanese Americans had made us decide that these men couldn't serve. Think about what they did in World War II that was critical to the success of that effort, the future freedom of this country. And we could have made the decision that because they were Japanese Americans, we didn't want them. It is that kind of waste that discrimination brings to every society, whether it's sexism, racism, any discrimination makes a society worse because it takes away some of the people who can contribute to making the society a better place to live. And there's simply no better way to understand that than to look at the men on this stage today. Their service in the face of that discrimination so personifies what America is supposed to be all about. As I said, it is a privilege beyond words to be able to be on the stage with them. Congressman McDermott and I, in a few moments, will have the privilege of awarding the medals that long ago should have been awarded. It's a great honor to be here. I do also want to thank General Corelli for coming out and being here, and thank him and his wife for their 40 years of service to the United States Army and to our country. If we could give General Corelli a moment. Stage, I'd be completely remiss if I didn't also thank General Corelli. The first time that I went to Baghdad as a member of Congress, I met General Corelli in Baghdad, and he right away made me feel at home with the University of Washington football helmet that he had on his desk. He is a great man in many ways, and a true and loyal Husky as well as a true and loyal American. thank you for the opportunity to be here, and more than anything, gentlemen, thank you very much for the example that you have set for all time.
Thank you, Congressman Smith. At this time, we are preparing to present the Congressional Gold Medals. The Congressman will be presenting the medals on either side of the stage. Congressman McDermott on this side, Congressman Smith on that side. Please hold your applause until we have passed out all of the medals.
Bob Akimoto.
Paul Joichi.
Hideyoshi Horikawa.
Masaru Odoi.
Joe Matsuzaki.
Koji Tada.
James Miyamoto.
Frank Matsuda.
Kim Muramoto.
Charles Furumasu.
Hisashi Nishimura.
Jimmy Yamaguchi.
Jack Samishima.
Nobi Takahashi.
Shig Kozu.
Takashi Matsui.
Takashi Akiyama.
Yomi Tanino.
Masao Abe.
Thomas Kobayashi.
Tosh Chihara.
Jake Kawakami.
James Doi.
Noboru Kawada.
John Fujinari.
Paul Kaseguma.
Tosh Tokunaga.
Kazuo Watanabe.
Robert Handon.
Minoru Uchimura.
Bill Hayashi.
Kiwamu Tsuchida.
Frank Hidaka.
Tsuguo Ikeda.
Ketch Toyohara.
Paul Hosoda.
Mickey Hero.
Kurt Hiroshima.
Daniel Takehara.